If you're a compact executive estate buyer who likes the idea of an all-wheel drive Audi A4 Avant with extra road presence and enhanced stability in slippery conditions, then the German brand's A4 Allroad model may be right up your street. It'll also suit those who appreciate the virtues of a plush, compact SUV, but can't bear the thought of being seen in one. It may not be the prestigiously badged, sensibly sized 4x4 you dreamed of, but it could be the one you actually need. Buying an SUV always smacks of using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It's fair enough to want your family car to be able to handle snowy roads, muddy car parks and icy February back doubles, but is it really necessary to buy something capable of crossing the Serengeti in order to do it? Of course, most modern 4x4s would get stuck fairly early on into your average desert, but they still carry a fair bit more technology than is really necessary to cope with such modest expectations. Which is why a car like this one, Audi's A4 Allroad, would seem to make a lot more sense. Now, Audi's Allroad concept is pretty straightforward. Take one of their standard Quattro all-wheel drive Avant estates and give it a bit of extra ride height and some body cladding to protect the bodywork, or more likely remind the neighbours what you bought. Now that and a few electronic tweaks should be enough to make it suitable for mild off-road use. Now, we're not talking about rock-strewn hillsides or extreme wilderness river crossings here, but the kind of unmade roads and rutted farm tracks that owners might encounter and which might damage an unmodified vehicle. Now, Audi has been perfecting the concept for over 10 years, initially with the large A6 Allroad model, which took on executive off-road estates like Volvo's XC70. Clever height adjustable air suspension always made this A6 surprisingly able in the rough stuff, but this slightly smaller A4 Allroad model doesn't need it in the wider, slightly more affordable sector of the market where it sits. Here it takes on tough all-wheel drive estate rivals like Subaru's Forester, Saab's 93X and Skoda's Octavia Scout. Now, it'll be good news for owners that the modest changes made to give this car some modicum of off-road ability have not only failed to disrupt its admirable on-road composure, but in many ways have actually improved it. The A4 Allroad has longer springs for increased travel off-road, 26mm more in front and 13mm more at the back, and the result is a significant improvement in on-road ride quality over that of a standard A4 Avant. Firm damping and a 20mm wider track to compensate for the increased ride height mean that body roll is well controlled too. If you are thinking of throwing the car around a bit on tarmac, then you might want to specify the optional Drive Select multifunction software system that controls everything from the suspension to the gearbox, the steering to the throttle mapping via comfort, auto, dynamic and individual settings. Audi reckons that very few of this car's customers will ever take it off-road, but those that do find themselves at the foot of a steep, rutted slope may well find themselves wishing that the Ingolstadt engineers had fitted the A6 Allroad model's reassuringly clever height-adjustable air suspension, at least as an option. Still, with 180mm of ground clearance, that's 37mm more than a standard A4 Avant and only 20mm shy of Audi's fully fledged Q5 SUV, improving both approach and departure angles and their stainless steel underbody protection, you quickly find that this car has more than enough ability to get you out of all situations except those that you shouldn't have been in the first place. It helps here that the ESP stability control system has been re-engineered for off-road use, incorporating an ORD off-road detection system that monitors the amount of traction available at each wheel and allows for a certain amount of wheel slippage in low traction or muddy conditions, allowing the vehicle to maintain forward momentum. Now, in these situations, ABS will cut in, well, not quite so easily. It'll cut in a little bit later, so that the wheels lock up slightly earlier and then build up a kind of dirt buffer in front of them that will stop you quicker. The engine range is loaded with familiar Audi units. You can talk to your dealer about a 141 brake horsepower 2-litre TDI diesel, but most buyers opt for the 168 brake horsepower 2-litre TDI unit, which has a 6-speed gearbox. although if you want a bit more power, there's the 237 brake horsepower 3-litre TDI, that's the model that I'm driving here, that boosts torque from 350 to 500 Newton meters. Pulling power of this kind is just as well, seeing that this model must carry around 35 kilograms more than a standard A4 Avant. Now, like the 2-litre TFSI petrol model, this 3-litre TDI comes with the Audi S-tronic twin-clutch semi-automatic gearbox that, if you're quick with the steering wheel paddles, will get the 3-litre TDI from rest to 60 in just 6.4 seconds. That's half a second quicker than the petrol alternative. So if Audi's right and A4 Allroad customers aren't buying this car to go off-road, just why are they buying it? Image perhaps? The redesigned grille and under bumper section, the plastic cladding, the side stills, the tough looking wheel arch extensions, they all give this car a purposeful air. Now that's continued inside, where the shiny sill plates, special upholstery and various unique dashboard applications give the interior a certain rugged ambience. You'll certainly feel rugged if you drive the car on a muddy off-road track, then get out, because the lower parts of the doors collect mud from the 17-inch tyres and then swipe it on your legs with every entry and exit. Basically, of course, this car shares the standard A4 Avant cabin design, which means decent amounts of space, a classy feel and standards of build quality that other marques are still doing their utmost to match. Providing you're only transporting 4 adults, there's plenty of head and leg room both at the front and here in the back. Luggage-wise, the well-shaped 490-litre boot is a decent size and features a useful reversible floor, one side offering a wipe clean surface for muddy boots and dogs. The rear seats split fold down to increase luggage space to a total of 1,430 litres, but it's a pity that they don't fold completely flat. Still, you have all manner of nets and luggage area dividers so that you can make the most of what you have. Now, list prices suggest that you'll probably be paying somewhere between £30,000 and £35,000 for your A4 Allroad. Now, that kind of pricing puts it substantially above similarly targeted but less prestigious rivals like Subaru's Forester and Skoda's Octavia Scout, and even above Saab's 93X. Now, Audi's pricing means that you're looking at a premium of around £3,000 over a comparably engined A4 Avant Quattro, where such comparisons can exist. But it's probably more relevant to suggest that you're looking at paying the same kind of money for an A4 Allroad than you would for an Audi Q5 SUV. So the choice between the two will probably come down to personal preference and your intended use. Now, it's worth pointing out that this top 3-litre TDI A4 Allroad shares the same engine that you'll find in the larger A6 Allroad model, which has the air suspension, the height adjustable air suspension, and that car, for around £3,500 more, might be a better bet if you're regularly going to be engaging in mild off-road use. Whether you choose 2-litre TDI or 3-litre TDI diesels, or indeed the 2-litre TFSI petrol model, Audi only offers one trim level on A4 Allroad models, but it's a pretty lavish one. You get 3-zone climate control, a 10-speaker stereo, 6 airbags, all-round electric windows, automatic headlamps and wipers, and Audi's DIS driver information system. There's also a storage pack which adds various nets and storage compartments dotted around the interior, while the boot features Audi's rail system, which stops items moving around during transit using a telescopic bar. Like other recently improved Audis, this one gets a standard efficiency package that includes a stop-start system that cuts the engine, then restarts it again in traffic jams or urban traffic. You also get a brake energy regeneration system that reclaims energy that would otherwise be lost in deceleration or in cruising. And then there's a display on the dashboard that shows you the optimum time to change up. Now, the result of all this is that the 2-litre TDI diesel that most customers will buy manages around 45 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle in regular use and puts out less than 170 grams per kilometre of CO2. If you go for the 3-litre TDI diesel, you can expect around 40 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and under 190 grams per kilometre of CO2 in regular use, and that's a similar emissions result that you'll get from the petrol 2-litre TFSI model that returns around 35 miles to the gallon in regular combined cycle use. If you're after a true multi-purpose vehicle in the £30,000 bracket, the temptation is to go for one of the SUV options. But for most drivers most of the time, Audi's A4 Allroad might well be a more agreeable everyday travelling companion. Residing somewhere between a compact executive estate and a compact SUV, it aims to balance road-going competence with light off-road ability. Factor in Audi build quality and a big boot, and you have what should be a convincing product, and an eminently sensible one.